Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of what is indeed the best committee here in the House or the Senate. For the record, Delegate Michelle Guyton, District 42B, introducing and asking for your consideration House Bill 146. And I want to bring up three things really quickly. One is that the theme of today on the floor was ancient Chinese proverbs. I'll start with one. The sage's transformation of the world arises from solving the problems of water. Lao Shu. The second thing I want to remind you, also a theme of today, is that PFAS is bad. Right? Keep that in your mind. And the third thing I just want to point out is that it is Blood Donation Day, and I'm O negative, so if we don't have too many questions, I could actually go save some folks. So I'm just going to let you know that right up front. So this is a bill that we actually voted out of this committee in this exact form last year. It was also voted out of the House, voted out of the Senate committee, and then got stuck in the last 10 minutes on sine die on the Senate floor. So we'll start from there. But basically, it addresses environmental contamination associated with neglected wastewater systems, septic systems. This legislation requires that septic systems be inspected and pumped out at the time a property is transferred if these services have not been performed in the past 3 years. The 3-year timeline was suggested by the Maryland On-Site Wastewater Association, the professionals in this area. The legislation does provide certain exceptions for transfers between family members if this work has been done in the past 5 years, and if there is a transfer that is a result of a refinancing but doesn't change the owner of the property, those are also exempt. There's an additional requirement for compliance to report a failed system and also to report the repair of the system. Now, this bill was modeled after a well inspection legislation that this body passed several years ago, sponsored by Delegate Stewart. Look, we know there's clear evidence that failing septic systems contribute to water contamination, particularly E. coli and also PFAS. Very, very bad, as we learned earlier today. So I won't have to make that argument to you. But there are no current requirements to inspect or to repair these septic systems. The bill formalizes best practices and protects both homeowners. When you're buying the property, you don't have to worry about this failing. If you haven't had a failed septic system in the past, let me tell you, as someone who has, it's a very, very costly and disgusting situation to find yourself in. And it also protects our environment from contamination and from PFAS. So I respectfully ask for a favorable report on House Bill 146. I do want to address a couple of the letters that you have. First of all, I have a cross file for this bill this year, and Senator Ben Brooks, they had a lovely hearing yesterday in the Senate, so it's already been heard there. And during that hearing, there were a few things that were discussed that you have in letters in front of you right now. First of all, to my friend, the realtors, I really do respect all of the work that they do. We have a fabulous working and personal relationship. Sometimes we have to do things that are a little bit uncomfortable because they're the right things to do. And we make those decisions in this committee all the time. The second is for Mr. Harrison, who is with the on-site water wastewater organization that helped work this bill the first year and has met with us many, many times over the past year. They do want some amendments here trying to statutorily require certain revisions to how the pumping and the inspection should be done on septic systems. And I believe, as was discussed yesterday in the Senate committee, it seems clear that those things possibly could be better addressed in a regulatory framework rather than in statute, so that we don't box ourselves into a situation where we're not keeping up with technological developments in this field. So with all of that, I ask for a favorable report. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I'm Drew Schmidt-Perkins, here in favor of House Bill 146 and representing Matt Geckel, a Back River Precast, a septic industry, and also a founding member of Team Septics. If Matt were here today and not homesick, keeping his germs away from us, he would be regaling us with some tales of the things that he has seen on site visits, which is why this bill is so important. For example, a home that didn't have a septic system, it had a cesspool found by Matt. A home with no system at all, a direct pipe to the nearby waterway. Commonly finding systems clogged with things that never should be flushed. I'm looking at you, flushable wipes, etc. The stories, and badly designed systems come up, things that were badly designed or improperly installed. So inspections are critical to find these things to protect our environment. And as Matt says, finding these things early can often save homeowners thousands and thousands of dollars, where things can be repaired or a homeowner can get better education rather than having to wait until a full-out failure. Team Septic really appreciates all the hard work that our sponsor and this committee have put in on these issues and keeping Team Septic busy. House Bill 146 is really a great next step. It will protect renters, it'll protect homeowners, it'll protect our health from contaminated wells and the environment. So thank you for your support. One more time for the team, let's pass this bill.
Chair Corman, members of the committee, thank you so much for having me today. My name is Annie Richards. I am your Chester River Keeper with Shore Rivers, a voice for clean water on Maryland's Eastern Shore. I am also a proud member of Team Septic. This bill will apply similar protocols and expectations to septics as the state applies to well water. On the Eastern Shore, if you have a well, you also have a septic. And when you have a poor performing septic, chances are that could increase contamination to your well water. To me, this is a common sense companion bill that will marry the two inspections that can most affect homeowners' health and safety when buying a home. There are over 400,000 septics in Maryland. And they all contribute nitrogen and phosphorus to our environment. We are only just beginning to quantify their impacts to the environment and to the Chesapeake Bay. In 17 out of 24 Maryland counties, nutrient pollution from septics now exceeds pollution from wastewater facilities. Depending on the functionality of a system, that pollution load can vary. Septics can also transmit bacteria into our environment. At Shore Rivers, we monitor 52 sites across the Eastern Shore for bacteria loads. This testing happens weekly in the summer, and our data is shared with community members so that they can make informed decisions about recreating in our rivers. The bacteria we test for is an indicator for E. coli from fecal matter. Unfortunately, out of our 52 sites, 30 to 50% fail safe swimming standards a majority of the time. Septics present as a significant contributing source to these failing scores. And on the low-lying Eastern Shore, climate impacts also influence failing septics. A recent study at UMD shows that 46% of all properties with septics are in the floodplain. As the increasing climate impacts persist, marsh migration, rising water tables, and flooding, that is going to increase instances of septic failure. The protocols put in place by this legislation will help catch this and protect homeowners and our waterways. Thank you. We urge a favorable report.
Thank you. Any questions for the sponsor on this bill we passed last year, Delegate Stein?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And ask this question as a proud, I guess, ex officio member of Team Septic. So.
Always
Never.
a member.
I believe you're the president, sir.
Well, I thought I transferred that title, but in any case. I know we passed this last year, and I certainly support it, but remind me the process with respect to when there's a change for rental properties, when there's a change in tenancy. Is it if the septic system hasn't been inspected within the past 3 years, then there would have to be a new inspection of the system. Is that right?
That's correct. So it is the same for transfers of property as it is for renting to a new tenant. It's the 3-year certificate. Now, theoretically, if someone stays in that apartment 20 years, then you wouldn't have that protection. But any time within the 3-year time period, then they would have to be re-inspected.
Okay, thank you.
Further questions? Okay, we have another favorable witness on virtual, Emily Ranson, Clean Water Action.
All right, good afternoon, members of the committee. I am Emily Ranson with Clean Water Action. Maryland's come a long way forward in how we are addressing septic systems and pollution, and this bill builds on our forward progress. So we now, as of 2021, passed legislation so that the people conducting property transfer inspectors are licensed. And then, as you heard, that this bill is very much modeled off of the well inspection bill that passed in 2022. So it builds on this legacy. And one of the things, you may be wondering is, well, aren't inspections already required at property transfer? And the answer is no, not by law. Most mortgage lenders do require an inspection, but not all lenders do. So home buyers not purchasing the home with a mortgage are also not required to get an inspection under the existing system. So this bill seeks to, holistically look at all of these property transfers as a great opportunity to make sure that the septic systems in the state are functioning appropriately. And we know that this approach works. In the first 6 years of implementing ordinances requiring inspection of property transfer, 2 Michigan counties found 1,000 failed septic systems and 300 homes without any system. And every failed or absent septic system is a threat to public health and the environment. And for these reasons, we urge a favorable report. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for our virtual witness? Okay, we'll move on to favorable amendment testimony. We have Edward Harrison and Ryan Frick. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Eddie Harrison, and I'm the legislative liaison for Maryland On-Site Wastewater Professional Association, or MALPA. We support HB 146 with amendments. MALPA was formed around 2000 to advocate for the on-site wastewater industry, promote education, professionalism, and protect public health, consumers, and the environment. On-site wastewater systems begin to degrade as soon as they are put into service. Property transfer inspections are essential because they assess system condition, identify problems, and help determine remaining service life before failure or replacement. I have served on the MALPA board since 2012. For many years, MALPA and the Maryland Department of the Environment staff have discussed whether septic tank pump outs should be required as part of the property transfer inspection. MALPA's inspection training is clear that a proper inspection must include a pump out. While some MDE staff have supported this concept, the agency never formally adopted it. And MALPA does not believe this issue will be resolved through regulation alone. Accordingly, MALPA respectfully requests 3 amendments to House Bill 146. First, require that the pump out be coordinated with the property transfer inspection. Second, direct the state on-site wastewater professional board to develop policy for advanced treatment units. And third, allow an exception to properties undergoing redevelopment. With these amendments, MALPA respectfully urges for a favorable report of House Bill 146. Thank you very much.
My name is Ryan Frick. I've been in the septic industry for 21 years. I'm a licensed septic inspector. I'm here today in favor of the bill with an amendment that the septic pumping is coordinated with the septic inspector to happen at the same time as the septic inspection. Allowing the septic tank to be pumped prior or after the inspection, it impairs the results of the inspection to be true and accurate. It could mask problems that would be seen if the septic tank was not pumped prior. So I'm in favor of the bill, but I ask that an amendment to the bill to require the septic pumping at the same time as the inspection and not at a separate time.
Thank you. Are there questions for the favorable amendment testimony? Okay, thank you. We'll bring up our unfavorable witness, Bill Costelli, from behalf of the Realtors.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee, Bill Castelli on behalf of the Maryland Realtors. And we do want to thank the sponsor for the bill for meeting with us and talking to us and addressing many of the concerns the realtors had. Fundamentally, though, the realtors believe that rather than a point of sale mandate, these are issues better left to a disclosure bill where the parties can assess their relative positions. There are lots of unanticipated things that come up in a transaction, and parties should have some flexibility to decide, is this where their resources are best spent, or is it on fixing the foundation? And other things that arise as well when you're purchasing a property, maybe you're going to do an addition. If you're adding a couple bedrooms, that would likely require you to upgrade the system anyway. So things like that. And that's why I think they would prefer a disclosure approach.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Okay, that concludes the bill here on House Bill 146.